Do you remember on the 13th of December 2022, it would have been, when Andrew Bridgen stood up in the House of Commons and he brought to the attention all those wonderful people who work for us, the MPs, about the excess deaths and the vaccine harms. He was talking about the yellow card system, and of course he was mentioning that people had been strangely having all sorts of health issues as a result of something that was going on, and he just wanted people to talk about it. Unfortunately, on the 13th of December, you may remember that he spoke to an empty chamber. But he wasn't defeated by that, because he came back on the 17th of March, you may remember, and in the House of Commons he brought up a similar debate about exactly the same thing, worried about what was going on and whether the vaccine was actually doing what it was supposed to do, whether it was really safe and effective. And you may remember that Christopher Choke was there. There wasn't very many people there, but he got up and started prodding people on and saying, "Wait, get out," just as Andrew stood up. And so again, Andrew spoke to an empty chamber, which is, for me, the day that democracy died in this country, when an MP is trying to alert not only his party, but the shadow party, of something that was going on in the country that was detrimental to anybody, and at least they should be investigating or addressing it. Didn't seem to happen. We have another debate in which Andrew Bridgen has managed to secure, which is this Friday on the 20th of this month, and October that being. I thought I'd ask Liz Phillips to come on board, Liz from the Great Resist, to discuss this situation, in the hope that, of course, MPs will this time en masse be sitting there ready to listen to something that we've all been knowing that's been going on. Liz, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much indeed. Can I just say one thing? It wasn't Christopher Chope, it was Andrew Mitchell.
Oh, Andrew Mitchell. Yes, that's right. I beg your pardon.
Christopher actually is usually one of the few that is on board with Andrew, so I'm hoping he's there on Friday. Yes, I didn't want to get Christopher in problem. It's definitely Andrew Mitchell.
Yes, no, you're quite right, because I remember Christopher was there because he was on that day with him, behind him, on the 17th of March. I do remember that. But yes, it was Andrew Mitchell, and I apologise, Christopher, if you're watching, which I'm sure you're an avid viewer. So we have this situation, of course, and I'm slightly concerned that we might have a bit like the BBC, full of repeats, and the same again. What do you think?
I'm afraid I think you're going to be right. The fact that I've called it probably one of the most serious debates of this century. We're going to have it again to an empty chamber. Friday afternoon in the House of Commons. I'm afraid the weekend is beckoning, and surgeries. I know some of the MPs have surgeries on a Friday evening in their constituencies. But, this to me is so important. Richard, and also I was told that there was a whip out to say do not attend. Now, our MP has come back to me and said that in actual fact that isn't correct. But as I pointed out to him, the mistrust we have after seeing Andrew Mitchell shifting people out of the House of Commons, it wouldn't be at all out of the question, Richard, I don't think, that it might not be in writing. So I've actually wrote to the Chief Whip.
You did. Let's have a look at the. Here we go. We've got it here, which you very kindly sent me a copy. So this went out on the 16th of October. Would you like to read it?
Right. I've sadly learned that there is a whip to stop MPs attending the debate in the House of Commons on this Friday, the 20th of October, to debate what surely must be one of the most important debates so far this century, that of the excess deaths here in the UK, in all constituencies, and worryingly in every age group, particularly the young and those of working age. Whilst I do understand party discipline and the possible need for the whip, I do not believe this is warranted here, as it is crucial to discover what is killing so many people when there is no visible pandemic or other obvious reason. Or is there? And is that why you won't allow MPs to debate this? I have written to my MP asking if he has been whipped into not attending on Friday. I hope this is not the case and look forward to him taking a full part in this crucial debate. I trust that no MP in the Conservative Party will be subject to the whip. This will be the final nail in the coffin of the party, in my opinion, if this turns out to be the case.
Oh, well, there we are. So you had you sent that off, and you got a response.
I've got a response because I also sent it to our MP because I didn't want him to have an excuse for not going on Friday. So I sent it to our MP and he wrote back and said that there is no such thing as a whip for not attending. There is a whip for attending. But as I said, I'm totally full of mistrust when you see somebody like Andrew Mitchell rounding people up and ushering them out. So there may not be a written instruction, but I have to tell you, I don't trust them at all, Richard. And I'm sure that there has been some sort of tacit agreement for MPs not to attend because it's Andrew Bridgen.
And Andrew Bridgen has recently been I was going to say targeted, but I suppose he was targeted. He apparently was sitting in the atrium and was bashed on the back of the head. We've got the BBC report here. Let's just have a quick look at that if I can bring that up. So this is on the BBC News website, so it's got to be right, obviously. Andrew Bridgen MP claims he was slapped on the head in Portcullis House. I mean, they say slapped. I mean, how heavy is a slap? And the important thing, really, is the alleged slap is said to have taken place in the atrium of Portcullis House, I beg your pardon. He claimed that the Reigate MP called him a bastard. This was Crispin Blunt, and who is sitting here saying the allegation is not correct. However, Andrew Bridgen told the PA news agency he believed the incident was completely unprovoked, apart from him having questioned to a newspaper why he had the whip removed by the Tories, but Mr. Blunt had not, for past comments about Hamas. And of course that's in the news at the moment. And there was another bit down here. He asked him for an apology. It is just unbelievable behaviour. It's not something you expect from one MP to another MP in the House of Commons, although we have seen punch-ups and things in the past, have we not?
Yes, I'm afraid I just wonder if all these things are linked, Richard, because also I think there's many constituents have said to their MPs, "We want you there on Friday." Now, this debate on Friday is going to be televised, so we can see exactly which of our MPs is there in the House and who isn't, because I mean it's so serious. These excess deaths up to and including the end of July this year, it's just under 40,000 excess deaths. And it's
Wow.
ridiculous. And they're
Well,
not debating it.
I mean, okay, so a number of my audience will probably have a view on what's causing that, but let's just put that onto one side. If you suddenly have something is causing it, clearly, because it's out of the norm, and if that starts to happen and your government are just not interested, it's like no, nothing to see. Never mind whether they may or may not be complicit to helping that along. It doesn't make any difference. They ought to be discussing it. And the fact that almost anywhere else you go, apart from mainstream media, people are discussing it, you see how isolated the government and the shadow cabinet, the shadow government are by not addressing this. It just seems extremely weird.
Well, as I wrote to Damien Collins, who is our MP, I've said that, so many young and working age people are dying in excess of normal expectations, according to the Office for National Statistics. And if there is no debate on this, why? Yet, when there were less people dying from COVID, we were updated on a daily basis.
Yes,
And
it
that's
is
quite
funny.
right. That's
Yeah.
quite right. There were less people dying when COVID was around on a daily basis than are dying now of excess deaths with no apparent cause, and COVID not in the death certificate. So it must be debated.
And so if nobody turns up, it's just a speech. It will go, of course, in Hansard, but three times in a row,
Mm.
it's very, very weird that nobody else is interested. And you would think that at least the shadow government would want to have an argument to say, well, your side have really messed up, or whatever they want to. I mean, it's an own goal, isn't it?
It is, but then we've said for some time, Richard, you can't put a fag paper between them. And who is actually, there must be the same people ruling both sides of the house, because they're both saying the same things or not saying the things that they should. So you have to ask yourself, well, then who really is in charge?
Yes, absolutely. And people can make up their own conclusions on that, as I know they probably have got. Certainly, they know my views on all of that from what I have been talking about in the last 11 months. Hard to believe, really, that I'm coming up to a year of all of this, Liz, and I know that you've been working on all of this for a very long time. It would be remiss of me not to say thank you for letting me get involved in the Great Resist, and that in Liverpool we have another of these conferences that you've been organising.
We do. I hope we're going to talk about that in the next couple of weeks, Richard, before we go. The 11th of November, everybody. It's on the Fat Samer website, Liverpool on the 11th of November. Yours truly and Mr. Vobes in person. So we're looking forward to it. It's half as good as the last two. It'll be absolutely fantastic. We've got a wonderful lineup again, but we'll talk about that, I hope, a little bit nearer the time. But
Yes, no, absolutely. Well, I can tell you that the various places that I've been to, people have been to the one we did in Peterborough, and they've come up to me and they've said, "When's the next one? I'm desperate to come because the speakers are exemplary and it's just the word is getting out, so that's fantastic. I'm very
And in the
thrilled."
meantime, let's hope everybody tunes in. I think the debate on Friday is being done on BBC. I think there's a Parliament channel, and I think the debate should be on there. And
Do
you'll
we know
be able
what
to
time?
see. No, I think it's 2 o'clock. I'm not sure, but I think you can check that. But at least we'll be able to see which MPs are there and which aren't, and we'll make a huge noise if our MPs are not in attendance, because this affects every MP.
Yes, and I suppose viewers, of course, can just quickly, it won't take 2 minutes really, to send your MP a quick email to ask them, will you be attending on Friday? This is a very important thing.
Absolutely.
And why not ask them and see if they've got, maybe they're on the golf course, or they've got a dentist appointment, or, their little Tony clipping. Obviously, hugely important matters to prevent them from going to find out about one of the most important things that have happened for a very long time.
Or they could, of course, be at their second jobs.
Oh yes, of course. I forgot about that. Of course, absolutely, sitting there making massive decisions to inflate their wallets. But that's just speculation, Liz. I'm sure that those MPs will be absolutely there, ready to listen to the debate and take part, and maybe put through some of the views that their constituents have been emailing, because I know that they have their concerns, because people send me copies of the letters they send to the MP and the very curious, safe and effective, nothing to see here replies. But maybe the MPs who are perhaps beginning to realise that actually we know that they are, well, maybe they're running scared a little bit. Maybe we should tell them we know if or not they're doing their job correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. And, what are they scared of is what I would like to know, Richard, or who are they scared of?
Mm.
Because to me, they're there not to be scared, not to be bought. They're there to do the work for us. And I can't see it being done at the moment. And I know you're of the same opinion as me.
I certainly am. Yes. Well, maybe the future will involve a life without MPs. Maybe there's something round the corner. Who knows? But in the meantime, yes, send your MP a little letter. Ask them if they do tune in, and let us know. And of course, let your MP know if they don't turn up. Maybe that's the time to ask them why they weren't there.
Yeah,
After all, they are supposed to be working for us. We pay enough for
absolutely.
them.
And the other
So,
the other thing to do is to ask their constituency chairman, why they're not there, because the constituency branch members will be the people out on the street in all weathers at the next general election trying to get them elected when they're
Yes.
sat at home or doing whatever they don't do. And so perhaps it's a good idea to ask their constituency chairman also why they're not participating.
Yeah. So well, they'll be out there with the begging bowls, and let's see if they can beg as much as they like. Liz, always good to talk to you. I shall be tuning in, and I shall await to see. And do let us know what you think. And will you be tuning in? We'd like to see a bit of pressure on this remarkable MP who has stood up and faced so much. So much so that he's been pushed out and even bashed on the top of the head, and various other threats that we can't go into. So he needs our support. But Liz, thank you. Very lovely to talk to you. We will talk again, I'm sure.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. I will see you again very soon. Don't forget to watch the debate on Friday. Bye for now.